Our group had Situation 1. The group members included Gabrielle Andrews, Faith Barton, Olivia Pennington, and Kylie Vaught. Today I was assigned to be the circulating nurse in Room 4, orthopedic surgery, instead of Room 3. I reviewed the surgeons before each surgery due to being unfamiliar with them. Before my third surgery, a bone biopsy, the environment was tense since the patient was the wife of a local physician. I prepped the area with betadine and waited for the surgeon. As soon as the surgeon walked in, I remembered that she liked her patients prepped with a solution that was not betadine. She then proceeded to tell me that I was a stupid nurse. The category of conflict this case study demonstrates is interpersonal conflict, which refers to the conflict that occurs between two or more people due to values, goals, and beliefs that differ from one another. This type is commonly defined by the focus of conflict, such as people-focused or issue-focused, and the source of conflict. The focus of conflict in this case study is people-focused because it was centered on emotions and feelings, causing it to be more of a personal attack. One of the main sources for interpersonal conflict is informational deficiencies or miscommunication, which I believe was the cause of conflict in this situation. As I am usually assigned to general surgery rather than the orthopedic surgery, I am not as familiar with these doctors' preferences. Therefore, I mistakenly prepped it with betadine rather than the preferred solution due to misinterpretation of the doctor's wishes. The stage of the conflict that the doctor and nurse are in during this scenario is known as the manifest stage. During the manifest stage of conflict, the conflict is observable and open. It is well known that the conflict exists and that there is a problem present. However, the doctor and nurse both go through the beginning 3 stages separately to get to the manifest stage together. The doctor and nurse both begin in the latent phase where nothing is known to be wrong or conflicting. When the nurse and doctor realize the mistake has been made, they both move into the perceived stage. During the perceived stage, vantage points and opinions are developed individually and personally. When the nurse notices the mistake, she feels anxiety and stresses over what has happened. The doctor also notices the mistake and feels similar emotions. This is known as the felt stage. From the felt stage, it is dependent on how each person handles the felt emotions on when and how the conflict progresses into the manifest stage. When the doctor makes his rude comment to the nurse, the scenario is in full-blown manifest stage. Since this doctor is known to have a short temper with our nursing staff, then an intervention from our manager should have been utilized before this incident. Now that the incident has already occurred, I should report the situation to the manager and action should be taken against the doctor accordingly. Before action is taken against the doctor, all aspects of the situation should be investigated. This includes the thoughts, observations from the other staff in the room, and the doctor's perspective of the situation. This allows everyone to collaborate and share their insight. Conflict resolution strategies are implemented with the main goal to create a win-win solution for those involved, and if this is not possible, then the next goal should be to simply manage the conflict to reduce the differences. The most appropriate conflict resolution strategy for this situation is cooperating and accommodating. Marquis and Houston state, cooperating is the opposite of competing. In the cooperating approach, one party sacrifices his or her beliefs and allows the other party to win. The surgeon in this case should accept that betadine was used. It is still within the scope of practice and it is okay to use to prep a site for surgery. I am only human and will make mistakes, but thankfully the mistake was not life or death. Avoiding should not be used because more tension could build in the operating room and lead to medical errors. This could further exaggerate the issue and cause unnecessary conflict. Competing should not be used because it could be a waste of time. Competing would require me to start over in prepping the surgical site and delay the procedure. This is not beneficial for anyone. If the situation were to escalate, conflict resolution strategies should be utilized. An example of one of these techniques is to avoid further escalation, the situation with threats and provocative moves. Instead of closing in with intimidating body language, I should step back and use a calm voice to reply. Avoid being defensive during the manifest stage of conflict because the nurse manager could use de-escalation techniques such as suggesting a resolution and taking actions instead of argumentative and demeaning behavior. Proactive behavior to de-escalate the situation and correct it avoids further argument and a more direct approach to a solution. In regards to conflict resolution insights, Gabrielle states, the ability to resolve conflict within the workplace is vital in order to have a successful profession, whether it is with patients, coworkers, or anyone else I may encounter. When conflict is not resolved, the issue is prolonged and remains unnoticed, which creates a tense environment which can lead to even further issues. To avoid this, I will address conflict when it arises right away by implementing a resolution strategy that is most appropriate for the situation rather than prolonging it and making the situation worse. However, I do not like conflict in the first place. Therefore, I will avoid this by respecting the thoughts and opinions of those I encounter as well as remaining open-minded in all situations. Although my goal is to be proactive and avoid conflict, I realize that it will still arise at times, and when it does, I will address it immediately and appropriately. Faith states, by knowing the multiple stages of conflict, my conflict resolution strategies will revolve around my reaction and resolution to the conflicting situation or argument. Being proactive and positive during tense situations is one way to find fast resolution without feelings of disrespect, hurt, demeaning behavior, and anger. To quickly and effectively address the issue, find common ground, and quickly identify and execute a resolving plan of action will be the more professional way I will address conflict as a leader. Olivia states, I will apply conflict resolution by remaining open-minded and take the time to listen to everyone's side of the story. I will also try my best to resolve conflict by looking at the factual information in each scenario. My goal in conflict resolution is to keep my emotions to a minimum to avoid creating hard feelings for anyone. I also want to be punctual and address each conflict quickly so that there is not time for the conflict to create a snowball effect. Lastly, Kylie states, I will apply conflict resolution strategies in my practice by respecting others and their opinions. For me, it is important to prevent conflict when possible. Another way I can accomplish this is not to ignore a situation as it is escalating so that tension does not build up. Instead of ignoring it, I can use therapeutic communication to address the problem and figure out a solution with all parties involved. This slide includes all of the references that were used in our presentation. Thank you so much for listening.